YouTube. It's episode 3 or the 4th episode. Dreams, tips, tricks, helping, guides, whatever. Just a heads up, it's absolutely storming in my location. Well, we're actually getting floods, so if the stream stops abruptly, it means power's gone out or internet's dropped or, usual issues. Okay. Let's see. I was doing a quick little check. I'm not seeing a great deal of repeating issues. But what I might do is just go a quick sculpt, build, what do you want to call it, guide. So if we go into here, I'm not going to worry about the sound effect. Actually, on a previous one I showed you how to do water. I might show you a painting technique that could be used. Yeah, precise rule. And then I need to go that one. Yeah, about there sounds good. Then you want to go to here, here, and go. Turn. It is on. Okay. Okay, and then we'll get rid of this last one. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just painted a thing. So I back out. You go into paint mode. Choose the flex. Square's the best one to start with. Choose your color, blue. You want it to be rule fleck, so it does a straight line. That does plonk, plonk, plonk. That does like the more pressure, the thicker the thing will be. That's just a plain line, but can be curved. This one is straight lines. So I've just done a straight line, then duplicated it sideways. Now if I highlight it, and go to there, turn stretch off, you can see there's the lines. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to thicken it up so that they all meet. And pesto, yeah, I only want a little bit, so I'll bring it down. About 50% sounds good. Then we want to go to this one. And of course we want water, we're going to go to a wave and we'll set it at, we'll go about 10%. Then if we go to play, as you can see it waves the water. So if you get that whole thing now is all one piece, move it up and duplicate it and move it to the side slightly and play it. It should give like what looks like a legit wave. Ideally what you would do is you'd select that second one. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Like that. Again, if you can hear the rain, I do apologise, but turn the wave off so that the bottom one is solid, it doesn't wave. The top one or the second one does the wave. And even one step further, you could go For example, it doesn't matter which one you choose. We'll add a bit of white to one of them. Just a hair, just to separate the colors. See? And if you add more of a, like when it was, where are we? If we go, that one for example, and go to the stretch one, if you turn that right up, it'll be, the flex will be fully stretched. And if you chose the other one now, and go the same with that one, and then do it, it would give you more of a, I suppose you could say like a blurry look to it, which works well for water, as you can see. You just be cautious when you do this way, that the flecks are taking up more space and they overlap more. So if you want to do something with it, as in, for example, add something and you want to have like little bits of water lapping onto the beach, this won't give you those little laps. It will give you a big one. If we throw in a puppet, just so I can show you. If we grab both these and combine them, just make it for easy handling, and we'll raise up to, let's say, waist deep. Now, because they're combined, I should better go to that. We'll go about 30, we'll try it. Oh, yes, of course. I do. Have to go all the way back and not have them combined. Because if you combine them, the animation, the wave effect is removed. So if you do that, just double select, choose them both, edit, go to the how see-through it is. Somewhere between 30 and 50% I find seems to be the best. If you get too far transparent, it looks odd. And there's some water. It obviously doesn't have the splash effect or any of that. And if you want a whole ocean, obviously you can make it bigger or smaller. So if I, for example, go there, there, make it as big as I want. Apply. As you can see, it's like a rippling water. If you make the under part one, go to audio, make it sound wet. When I'm walking around in here now, it sounds like I'm walking in water. This is the way I would normally do water, or I would do the one I showed in the previous one, which is just using the text gadget or an actual model. So instead of using the paint tool, I would just get one of these bottom pieces, duplicate it, make it blue, move it up, and add the effect to that. And obviously make it so it's not collidable. You can't make the thing I'm standing on here transparent. So whereas with this you can see slightly through it. As you can see the legs through the water there. If you do the double block technique, which I showed in one of my previous ones, you can't see the transparency in it. But if I move the puppet off to the side, I'll show you some sculpting stuff. Okay, my biggest issue is, first thing I do is go in, I dislike the distance the camera sit away from the puppet. I always come in here, either go a 1.4 or a 1.6. I'll go 1.4, and I would normally lower this down to about 30%, and I would adjust that to about 15%. Sometimes I only get about 10, but you know, 15 is a good number. All that is doing is adjusting when you possess the puppet, how far the camera is away from the puppet, and how far up and down the body. So this way here you can see a little bit more of the puppet. It's not cut off at the feet. Like it's not cut off where, as you can see where the camera is there, it's not cut off there. It's like if you go to a normal angle, you can see the whole puppet. But it's on the lower part of the screen, so you can still see in front of the puppet. Without putting your own custom rig in, you can't get the offset left or right. So another thing I always try and do is make it so that the run is an automatic run. So you go, easiest way for that is you go into the puppet. I think I showed this before. You want to open the puppet's main properties. So that's why you're only zoomed in by the one. While hovering over it, you got the white eye line, left shoulder, square. That will bring that up. If you go right shoulder X, it zooms in. Square. Turn run to 0. In case you're curious, that's the walk speed, run speed, how fast it turns around. So if you find your character's slow turning around, turn this one up. That's 2D movement, which is good for a puppet that you want to be on, like a side scroll game. So what we're going to do is going to add a keyframe, plonk it in there, and then turn the speed of this up to what we want the run to be. So we'll say 5. Save. We can now close that. Choose the button. I dislike circle being the eject, so normally what I would do is put it in like as the touchpad or up on the D-pad or something like that. So you just throw that into whatever one you want it to be. And then grab, what I like to use is right shoulder. So there. So while the right shoulder button, or R1 in this case, is pressed, it will activate this, which will enable the run. So if we now get into the puppet, when I just move the stick, it just walks. But when I push the right shoulder, it does the run. Okay, now I've done sculpting on streams before, but I haven't told you what I'm doing. Generally speaking, I will start from the hip, then do the legs, then work my way up the chest, and then do the arms, and then leave the head to last. A lot of the time I won't sculpt the head, because I will sculpt heads separately and then plonk them on there. You don't have to have everything sculpt onto the puppet. So for example, the hands, you don't have to sculpt the hands. You can literally just come into here, grab someone's creation, for example, search hand. Is it going to give me a hand? No, it's not. Okay. This is my newest hand, which is a updated version of that hand. So I'll grab it. It's exactly the same sort of, I think on one of my previous streams I spoke about it. It's exactly the same creation. It's just, as you can see, it's a little bit of sculpting there. It's got bumps for knuckles, and I've fixed a couple of the poses who were a little iffy, so I tweaked them. I'm not going to rescale it because it's literally just to show you how to do it. So what you do is you clone it, and then while still holding onto your right shoulder, right trigger, or R1, click in on your L3, and it will flip it that way. And just go like this, and then if you want to tap triangle to align it, left hand, right hand, or from the one item. Then what you want to do is go to the hand. While the white outline is there, just go L1 and X, as you can see, add to group. 1, 2. Do the same with this one. Press it back out 2. Go in. 1, 2. You want it so that this one is sharp and the arm is blurry. So right now these hands are attached to these parts. So if I go into there and go to, I'm not going to get too fussy about it. Do about there. Do the same with this one. If I was creating an actual creation, I would spend a little bit more time tweaking, but you know, it's tutorials, it's guides. Now the hands are attached there. But as you see, those blue originals are still there. So this is why you go in twice and not just the once. Now I can go to this one twice. As you can see, that one's sharp and that one is sharp. Highlight it. So that the white eye outline is there. Left shoulder, square. Go up to that one and go invisible. That's whether it's visible to the gameplay or not. Again, if you accidentally click it and you're back and you go, oh, how do I find it again? Bring up this one. The first one toggles them. So we're back all the way out now. Okay, now the standard puppet has hands. And of course I've pre-rigged it to be right shoulder for fist. When you run, it fists. That is the reason why I like to choose the R1 as my run on my puppets, normally, because my hands, I use the R1 as fist, and the L1 as the secondary pose. As you can see there, L1, advanced poses. And then you tap circle and go through the different poses. They're exactly the same poses. That pose, the peace pose, the fingertips are a little bit bent. So I've fixed that so they're now straight. So that's how you attach. I think I'll show you again. I'll put a head on there. Recently I had people asking for help with realistic style heads, which is what that is. It's a shared creation or a collaborative creation. That's the base head. So if I pull it out, it is a single sculpt. It's one piece. There's nothing extra to it. I'm going to place it on the head. So while zoomed out from everything, so left shoulder circle to zoom out, grab the item. I normally put it behind so I can see the thing highlighted. One, it's now in the puppet. And as you see the highlight is around the head, go one more. And then place it roughly under the head. Then obviously you can come in. Sorry about the camera movements. Actually that's pretty close. And just tweak your placement. It looks like it's about right. Yeah, it looks about right. Always too, when you do this, go into it, check if it's collision is turned off, turn it off. That one doesn't matter too much, but density, turn that off. You could even turn on ignore gravity. If you leave the collision turned on, some weird stuff can happen because the inside head will try and collide with the outside head and it'll bump you around. Doing it this way, it sits there. So if we go out now, so there we go head, and we go hands. Now let's sculpt a little bit of body to it. And as I say, I always start with, or 90% of the time I'll start with the hip. So I'm going to open up the hip. So it's sharp, everything's blurry, and I'm in here. So if I go all the way out, hover over the hip, see the little white outline of the puppet, go 1, 2, and now you can see the shapes. And we want to go to, because we're in that part, so with this piece, and this piece, and the neck, you want to go to here and turn your mirroring on. You don't have to, but if you make mistakes or you do something later, it makes it so much easier to fix it. This one, for surface snap, so when we get a shape, it snaps to the surface that we look cursoring over. If we go to the that one, turn it off, and then go back to there, as you see, it's going through the puppet. It makes it a little harder because you have to back all the way back like this and do all the shortcuts and stuff like that to get it to work. Just turn that one on, makes it easier. First rule of puppets needs a butt cheek, so let's place some butt cheeks in. A lot of people go ham and just place a dirty big ball there. While the circle is out like this, left shoulder, square, you can reshape the circle. So you want it a little bit taller and a little bit shallower. Then circle it back to there, Then scale it up to about the right size and then place. And then what you do is you line it up. So we're going to go tilt it that way in a bit. And while you're in this point here, you can rescale it too. So you're not locked in at the moment. In fact, you're almost never locked in. I'm not going to be too fast about its accuracy, so we'll do it about there. If you do that, it will only show the bit you're working on, which can be handy. And we'll go around to the front. And because no human is shaped like that, we're going to grab another circle. We could leave it the size it is, but I'm going to do left shoulder and square again. Grab sides and move it in. And we want it to blur, because it doesn't have butt crack, because it's the front. So we're going to blur it. Just be cautious. If you go full blur, as you can see, it like inverts the joins. They become like a weld. We don't want that, because the human's not welded. So you want to go, keep it to about kind of there-ish. You can go further up, depending what part of the body you're working on, stuff like that. But my rule of thumb, about quarter circle. Use your own judgment, and then place. We want to go on like a V, because we've got hips. Because the human anatomy is there's a hip there, so we'll get it and we'll slide it back. I'm not going to worry about deleting the original parts, because this will deform, because it's on blend, the original parts. But we just can't have it poking that far at the front, because the human body doesn't do that. So we'll put it back as far as we can go. And that looks pretty good. And if we want to, we can even grab it, copy it, and shrink it. Bring it in, bring it forward a bit. And then if we rotate that back, then move it up, and then move that back, it will add extra, instead of being just a curve like that, it'll be more of like a curve straight than curve. And same with on the side here. Instead of being just a plain curve, you see it's got like a curve there, and then another curve there. Because you've got your pelvic region, which is where your privates are, and then you got your hip, which is where your hip bone is. So that's how you would style the hip. Then obviously, like if you really want to go ham, you could remove that piece, and if you want to remove the other piece, you could, which is going to let me select it. That you can remove that. Now it's only the sculpts I placed in there that are there. But as you can see, there are gaps. Generally speaking, to fill those gaps, because I've used this shape, you can just clone that shape, move it up, grab it on the end, because wherever you grab from, it pivots from there. And just curve it around a little bit, bring it down, bring it in a little bit. And do the same with the smaller one. Copy that and bring it in to about there. Okay, the front looks fine, the back looks fine. Do this so you can check. The top, that's usable. The bottom is a little odd because the butt cheeks stick. As you see, like the butt cheeks is there, and it curves up, and then it's got that bit. A human being has the pelvic floor, or in brackets your crutch, which would be in there. So what I would do with this situation is get the smaller one, clone it, move it back. I'm not going to go into a heap of blurring and all that, and just do that. That makes that more of a correct shape. If we back out, you can see it's all good now. The issue we have here is where the legs join the hip. That is a big problem. I still have issues dealing with it, but I found the easiest way is to get a shape, usually a ball or an egg, and we're going to go, it doesn't matter what size right now, we're going to go to about the same size as the leg-ish, and take it into the hip and bring it up until it sort of looks like how it should look. And that's looking about right. Now the catch here is we've got this lump here, and when I walk, or when the pupper walks I should say, when the legs go back, you'll see that bump pokes out. That particular time I got lucky, it doesn't poke out that much, so I'm going to leave it. But normally what I would do in that situation is I would come into it and get one of the circle and just go to this one and go to subtract, which makes it negative. So if I grab a circle negative, go to roughly where they are, so say there, and then we're going to go L1 and square and blend. This one here you can actually go up, all the way up if you wanted to, and take away a lot of the hip. Just blend it till it looks about right, so about there-ish. And then you just move it into a position, which would be about there. This you got to remember, your butt goes further down than the front part. So you got to leave this circle slightly towards the front, because your hip bone is towards the mass of the body mass around the hip is more to the back than to the front. So think of it as there's your butt cheeks, there's your bony hip bit. And that would be about right. So if you now go there, it's shaped correct, and you won't get the poke through. As you can see, no poke through. If you do any extremeness, there's a chance of it happening. Like if I'd have done that before, you would have got a hip poke through. Alright. So that's the hips done. Again, I haven't got into any details. Like if you want to add extra details and all that, go for it. But as you can see, it's got the crease that looks like it's where the hip bone would be. Your pelvis and all that looks like thingy. Obviously, there's no bits because how dare you make them anatomically correct? But not get into it. Okay, we're going to do the leg. With this one here, we're just going to go like we did with the hip, go into the leg. And because the puppet, the way they made the puppet, what you do to one leg, you do to the other leg. You can turn it off through the settings, but leave it as it is. Just turn off your mirroring. And we're going to do the same as what we've done with the hip. We're going to grab a circle. And this is the simplest leg. Just scale it down to, while it's at that scale, it's about the same size as the leg lengthwise. We're going to give it some blur. Again, not too much. Around about a quarter. And then we're going to scale it down about that far. Then while it's placed, we're just going to align it so that it looks level. Take it back. And it's got to be on the upper part of the leg, because the main part of your muscle is in the upper part of your leg. So you go to your upper part. Once it's in, you can say, okay, that's not quite long enough. So you pull it to the side, grab the stretched, go to the bottom, bring it down a little bit, and throw it back in. Rinse and repeat until you get it to roughly how you like it. That's actually not too bad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it back a little bit. And a little bit on the front, just a hair. See, and now we've got thighs. The little bit where the hips join the thigh at the top, you can see that little bit of a bumpy joint. You can fix that. Adjusting, where are we? That one. Just take it out a little bit. To where you like it. Or, alternatively, you can grab this. Grab a negative. Whatever shape you like. It doesn't really matter. Square works good. But add a lot of blend. So, a heap of blend. Attach it to the thing so you can see the leg. Bring it out to the side and just angle it a little bit and take it out of bounds. That's not actually touching the thing, but if you look, you can see it moving slightly because it's affecting it. Now if I do that and come around, can you see it? Not really. Okay. Now if you go to the thing, you'll see that bump isn't as prominent all through those adjustments. And that's how you do the seamless. There is another way of doing seamless, and that's by making a full model and then using that negative object and cutting away the sections so that each section will match exactly. But we're not worrying about that. Okay, now I'm not gonna do the bottom part of the legs and everything like that, 'cause it's rinse and repeat. If you know anatomy, you can go even more detail. Like that muscle there isn't just one muscle. It's actually like you got your outer, your inner, um, all the little smaller ones and all that. So, but you could do that as well if you wanted to. But generally speaking, that is enough to sell it. The midsection, as you can see, it's a little plumper than what I like, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. But what you can do is, again, with the positives, mirror, and the circles and all on, scale it to roughly the same overall size, so it'll be about there-ish. Add some blend, again, not too much. Scale it up. For the midsection, bottom part goes like that. Top part, not to quite the same extent, but like that. That's the shape of the midsection. So if you take that, and if we go delete, delete, move that one back, delete, move that one back. That is the shape you would have, like, and you tweak it. That could actually be enlarged a bit to about there. Where it bulges at the back here, to fix that, the easiest thing is scale it into how you like it, and then add a secondary shape to the bottom part. Like, for example, just move it all the way inside the other shape. And as you can see, it adds a different sort of curvature to it. See how it's like, you can change its curve. That's one way of doing it. Another way is using the negatives. So if you go negative, we'll shrink it down so it's easier to see. Okay, and we want to add, again, a heap of blur or blend. About that. Scale it up to about the right size. And then just place it roughly where you want it. The good thing with this technique is if you're using double shapes like I am there on the hips, you can trick it into giving you that curve where your spine would be. Obviously, it needs to be tweaked a little bit more, so we'll go there. We'll take it in a little bit to about there. So we can now align that up, move him up a bit, move it back a bit. About there. And it doesn't matter how far you move that back now. Of course, this shape was placed first. This square on the back will affect it. Scale all the way up for you. Then I'll move it back. And of course the back isn't perfectly straight. Add a bit of curve that way. I'll overlay it a little bit. Again, while you're doing this, if you don't like seeing that line, come down to the actual mirror thing and tick that one. That'll hide the line, but it's still mirror. So as you can see, there's the hip. There's the waist, I should say. Again, the chest is the same with the mirror turned on, precision thingy. Normally I would start with the chest area, so you'd grab some circles. We're doing the inner chest, so we'll add some blend, and we'll get it to roughly the same size, and then we'll push it in. Now, we're not going to worry too much about styling it, so we're just going to go, a little bit extra length down this way. About 3/4 of this piece would be your pectoral area, so your chest. So you'd go to about 3/4. So take it back to about there. And now all we got to do is adjust it so it looks like a chest would look. And if it looks too bulbous like that, just slide it in. And generally speaking, add a little bit of back to it like that. You don't need a lot, so I like to pick even numbers. It's an OCD thing, but take it back into there. And that is about right. To fix this bottom bit where it lumps out, there's two things you can do. Like with the hip part I was showing you down here, you can either cut away or add to. I'm just going to cut away. So I'm going to grab a negative. It should remember roughly what your settings were, and it has. So you're just going to scale it up, angle it at about there somewhere, grab it, and bring it down till I like it. And keep adjusting until I get it to roughly how I like. That looks fine. That little crease you can see there is because there is that circle. And if I can get it to show that shape. To get rid of that, the only real way is to redo a shape and that shape with different types of different amounts of blend. But let's face it, you've got ribs there. You could add rib detail to fix that. And with the back bulge there, you can just grab the side shape, spin it, so you get it roughly right. Again, do roughly first, then get yourself an angle, come in, and adjust to get it to just right. Don't try and get it first shot. You'll be there getting frustrated. So we'll go there, and a little bit squarer. And that looks fine. That crease there, I'm not going to worry about because we can add shoulder blades for that. In fact, it kind of looks shoulder blades already. But if you want to fix that, a scale up will fix it. Or a move up will fix it. You could also change the angle or move out. Moving out is probably the best option there. So if I go to there, I'll add a little bit extra angle. There you go. I've got rid of the crease 90%. There's still a slight crease there, but I'm going to leave it there because that's a good shoulder blade hint at. And it's already looking more like a human. The head scale is off, but to fix that, just grab the sculpt that's here and we'll scale it down by... we don't want to go too small because then it'll look like really weird. So if you go at about somewhere between 80 and 90%, if I can get it to go to a developers, can we please have a by number thing? Thank you, please. Thank you. Okay, we place it. Now, if you get in a situation like there, that head looks like it's about the right size, but that poke out, you could just make that invisible. Oops. Invisible, and then it'll work fine. But if you want to use that sculpt, make it into the hair. I've found that's a good trick that I do quite often, is I would get it, have the head sculpt placed on, and then get the puppet's head, and just use that to sculpt the hair on. So if I go, for example, circles, a little bit of blend, I'm not going to go too detail-y on it, but you'll see what I mean. I do that, then I'll copy it. Now I can move it down to about there. And then of course that looks odd because it's sticking so far at the back. I'll just shrink it down. And move it in a little bit. There you go. Now the puppet has hair and it doesn't look out of place. Now shoulders. A lot of people have the shoulder problem where They do it with the elbows as well, and the hips. Before I go any further though, I will right now tell everyone, like, this is my biggest peeve when people make characters. They make the butt cheeks, which are attached to your hip, part of the leg model. Don't do that. If you want to make it have jiggle, add a separate sculpt and give it the jiggle. If you add it to the leg, when it moves, it does not move correctly. The hip is the closest to correct that you can get. And it's the same with the shoulder blades. Generally speaking, people add it to, turn the mirror off, will add the shoulder part that joins the body to the arm. But I'm just going to get it roughly the right size. It doesn't have to be exact. There you go, that's close enough. They'll do that. But when you're moving around, if you do a jump or something like that, the shoulder doesn't move correctly. Because your shoulder, the main part of the shoulder is attached to your chest. Yes, there are muscles on your shoulder, so you can get away with it on the shoulder. If it's a small amount, you can get away with it. But what I would do here is I would very minimum amount there, so that when you're looking at this point, it has a slight curve in. Then go to the chest with the mirror on and add it to there, but I would make it a wider one like that with a medium amount of blend and add it in as about that shape, size, angle. Take it back, tweak it till it fits. Okay. Take it down a little bit, take it down a little bit. Take it back a little bit. Okay. And see now it's got what looks like the curve, the outer upper part is low and it curves into the chest. And then when you move, it looks a lot more like a shoulder would look. Okay, now if we do, I'll quickly show you the upper arms too, because a lot of people get this bit wrong as well. A lot of people just come along and go, okay, I want to make an upper arm. I'll turn that off. And just grab a shape and go plonk. Boom, there's an upper arm. It looks odd. The standard puppet arm isn't that far off the real arm. So yeah, grab your shape, but shrink it down so it only just pokes out. And go right there. Place that in. And make sure that this width doesn't exceed the normal width. And then if you're going to go outside the initial shape, only go a little bit. Okay. It adds the shape, but doesn't look stupid. Doesn't look like it's a marshmallow. Now, the joins, to get them looking seamless, turn on these two, X-ray and connectors, and take note of where the connector is. As you can see here, it's roughly in the center of the bottom curve. So I can now turn this off, and when I go to the top one, I want to make a new like elbow joint, but it's going to be roughly the same size as the top part, so it'll be about that big. We'll put some blend on, go to there, and we want it to come into roughly the same spot, but down so that the center of this one is almost the center of the bottom one. That's actually pretty close. So now when you back out, when you do the jumps, you're not getting the weird poke through at the back. It's almost a perfect elbow there. You can't tell because obviously the paintwork, but I'm about to paint it to show you how the paint works. But that there, excluding obviously the extremities, like I didn't do the feet, the lower legs, or the lower arms. By all means, do the lower arms and all that. If you're going to do the lower arms, my suggestion is don't necessarily sculpt onto it, but instead take away from it. Get your minus about this one here. You do not mirror this. Go to about there, move it out to where you want it, enlargen it, and go to so that the bottom is getting pushed in, but the top is not, because you want wide at the top and for it to narrow down at the bottom. You will get that crease. That's where you can add these sculpts onto it if you want. Alternatively, use a positive sculpt and use that one, the curve. This is what a lot of the more detailed sculptors will use to make more detailed puppets or whatever, is you go to your starting point, left shoulder or L1 and square, drag that to your length, drag that to shrink it, and you can even grab these and go, for example, like that to have a curve. And then you can get that and use that as your forearm. That will quite easily work as a forearm. Angle it, place it roughly over the top of it, move it in so it's in the right spot. That could quite easily work. If I now delete the underlying shapes, for example, that one and that one, as you can see, that is a quite doable arm. So if you, I'll place them back. If you want to download, edit this in Dreams and give it a whirl, I'll leave the arms and the lower legs so you can try it. And the feet, normally I'll just sculpt them into shoes, because making toes and shaping it and even like a foot is a pain in the butt. A bit like making your heads and stuff like that. But there's your puppet. We want it to look like it's a cohesive one puppet now. So what we're going to do, two versions you could do. You can just come into here, grab your coat, choose the skin color. So we'll say that, coat the whole thing. Done. That's the cheaper way to do it when it comes to thermals. The little bars you'll see come up the top here. If I go... audio, graphics, gameplay. If you paint patterns and stuff like that, it will use more of the graphics. If you use more varied this sort of stuff and more varied this sort of stuff, it'll use more graphics. Audio is sound. We haven't added any sound, so that shouldn't go up. And gameplay is things like the things that are telling the hands to go to fists when you run. Those things are gameplay mechanics, so chips. So that stuff. All this here, that is gameplay or logic. What I would do is I would go, we'll do it from the chest. Go into the chest, we're going to go to spray paint. Choose a base color, so we want a skin color. Do a circle. Paint. I'll go as big as we want. Paint. Then choose a secondary, so we want it to be faded slightly, so we'll go to there. Hover over it. L1 and square again. And choose the blend. And blend it up until you get the skin color you want. Obviously, if you want a darker skin, you would not choose white. You would come into here and you go, you could go orange, or you can choose a darker brown, for example, that brown. Go into it, and go to the blend, and choose it till you get to the color you want. That is the way I do skin colors. It seems to be the nicest way to do it, without getting some horrid, weird colored skin. Like for example, more of an oriental, or you get more like a tan color. Add a bit more blend to it, and you can change that. You could paint details as well. So for example, if you get the white, put it over. I'm going blend, not, it's that one you want, sorry. Not that one, that one. The opacity, so you can see how it goes. Standard, lighter, 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 white. Same with if you want the browns, if you want African Americans or Indians and stuff like that, choose the darker one, hover over it, L1, and blend it till you get the color you want. That is my technique of getting the skin color I like, but I want it to be more of like that, blend, this one, a little bit of orange paint, then a little bit of white and paint. That is the color I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do now is go the next shape and choose this first one. I said the first one, thank you. And then click on the color I just done, and now that color is saved into the thing. So I can now come down to here, make sure I set that back to solid color, and paint all the pieces. You only have to click on it once, and because it's using symmetrical stuff, you shouldn't have to left leg, right leg. Do one leg, they should both kick in. Okay, I'm not going to be too worried about hair. It's going to be a different color altogether, so we can leave that. And as I was saying with details, you can, for example, get the torso, scale this down to about there. And to do this, I would turn the where are we? The mirror back on again, so it's on both sides. And just say you want to add shadow, just choose a slightly darker color. Of this case, I would use more of a brown, and then make sure that the blend is like you do with the joins, a quarter, a third of the way up, and add the fade that to a little bit. We'll say about halfway. Find the center. We'll go a line up the middle, and we can even go. We'll just do an X. And same with down here. We can grab the hips, where the hips go around like that. Go boom. Chest. Generally speaking, to be the underboob, and where in brackets cleavage would be, so that and like that. I didn't add a lot, a couple of lines, but it made all the difference. Same with the back. You come around the back here, get the butt cheeks, and you could even go bottom of the butt cheeks like that, and you could even go into the legs and go, leaving the mirror on, off to the sides, to add make it look like there's a crease there. And the front you could do the same thing. So there you go. Water, sculpt the character. Before the timer runs, I'll just quickly get rid of those notifications. So if we go to here, here, and here. We want to turn that and that on. That one. That one. And we want to go into here and turn this one off. That's to get rid of that notification. And I'll close that so you just don't have to worry about it. Okay, so there we go. I sculpt the puppet, a little bit on the paint. I'm not going to do any more detailing into it than this. If you feel like doing detail, jump and you got the game, jump on there and edit it. Go ham on it. If you want to make, I don't know, a map out of it, go for it. If you want to make your own character you want to add clothing to it and stuff like that, go for it. So we've got the water. Again, if you want the water more see-through, you can go more see-through, but if you get too see-through, it doesn't look right. Like right now, if I go like that, and we'll go to it, and we'll go to that, and we'll put it down to say 10, and then play it. See how it doesn't feel like water, it feels more like smoke. That's why I say 30%. I wouldn't go much more than a 30%. When I say more, I mean less, you know what I mean. I wouldn't add extra. So, for example, you could even do one light, one dark. So you could have one more transparent than the other. So, for example, if I leave one at 20 and go this one at 30, because there's the two layers there, it adds that little bit of extra transparency, but it doesn't look like it's not water anymore. I would also recommend when you're doing the water, like that and that. Okay, I'm having trouble selecting just the, so if I go this way, I go to this, if I go to the side and go 1, 2, there we've got them both. Go into them, go to the paint one, and go to finishes, turn that all the way on, and then turn shininess all the way on, and I would even turn metallic positive a little bit, say 15%. Of course, it will add more of a metallic gloss look to it, which will add to the water look. So if we now come over to it, as you can see, it looks more like water now. So when you walk into it, it's more like you're in a body of water. And if you add a light source, you'll get the reflection. In fact, I'll add one for you so you can see it. Into there. Grab a light source. Okay, let's just grab it and we'll place it here somewhere. We'll go that way. I'm not going to adjust its brightness. I'll leave that as it is, and I'll just turn its angle up. That's all I'm going to do, just so you can see it. So when you walk in, you can see the shine on it. That adds for like sunsets, that sort of stuff. Okay. It doesn't look like anyone's watched. It's nearly an hour, so what I'm going to do is quickly colour this hair. We'll go black, will be fine. And because we've done it separate layers, we can just go, where's black? There. I haven't added eyes. I do have eyes on the thing you can do, or you can make her and just put balls in there. But there you go. It's a sculpt a puppet in some water. I will move this puppet into the water for you. Actually, I'm going to put the light up higher too. If I get that and go that to there and angle it down a bit more. Do it like that. I will turn its brightness down so it's not blinding you. Okay. So again with the water, you can always copy it like boom. It's gonna let me grab both now, isn't it? Yep. Clone, move it to the side. If you're using the precise move, it should work perfectly. Oh, it went up, didn't it? Yeah, it went up. Yeah, you just gotta be careful of that. So if you clone, move it directly to the side. It pokes. In fact, it can overlay, so you can do it like that. And it will go. You could, in theory, do an infinite ocean. But there you go. I'll quickly. I'll get rid of that lot. I will quickly save it, so you can see me saving it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Quick save. We'll call it a character this time. My local thing is full, so I have to find something to delete. You know what? That one can go. Continue saving. Okay, so it is now saved. So we're going to back out. Do I want to put it online? I'll say no. This is just the way I do it. I'll come back into it. And I'm just going to go into here. I'll tag it with template. I could have sworn there was a am I just blind? Probably just blind. Stream video, there it is. Boom. Okay, and then I'm going to go release. Yes. Yes. Delete the offline version. There you go. See if you want to look at it. It's up. Help stream 3. It's got the puppet, the water. By all means, if you edit the character to make it your own character, by all means, release it and send it to me. I'll have a look at it. I'll give you a thumbs up if I like it. Generally speaking, if it's anything inventive, like if you've sculpted your own outfit or you've added a function to it that is unique, you haven't just copy and pasted somebody else's stuff, I will normally give you a thumbs up. If you've just copy and pasted a heap of different stuff on there, but it looks cool, you might get a thumbs up as well. Oh, I've got 2 watches. I was just about to end, guys, or gals. But I made the puppet, I made the water. I'll give you a quick look at what I've done. Showed you how to sculpt the puppet, how to make the water. It's up on the actual in-game thing now. If you want to give it a play around with, go for it. As I was saying, if you make a character out of this or a level or whatever, throw me a copy. I'll give you a thumbs up. If you have any questions, look me up on Dreams, live after me. Throw me a question, ask for help. I don't mind helping. The head is a sculpt that's already up. The hands are already up as well. The puppet was made in this stream. It'll go back up as a pre-recorded, probably anywhere between 6 to 12 hours after I end this one. The water is just a paint thing, just showing you how to make some water. And that's pretty much all I've done. So I'm going to call it. Take care of yourself. And I will catch everyone next time. Look after yourself, take care of each other, and stay out of trouble. Don't want to need no more trouble.